Hey everyone, Proctato here. It's been a while since I've made a video reflection like this, but I wanted to take the time and discuss a few things, and recap the past year since so much has been going on. I hope everyone is doing well with the current state of things, and I wanted to pose this question. How is TF2 in 2021? So I know it's been a while since I made a video in a format like this, but I just wanted to take the time and talk about the whole casual experience over the past year and recap a few things since last time. The last video we left off on was discussing how Valve slapped a quick band-aid fix on the situation by muting free-to-play accounts in order to curb the racist/hateful spam. And sadly, we've seen two major updates since, where no new changes have addressed the active issue, and we find ourselves back at square one as bots continue to partially flood chat with horrible links and other nonsense, as well as still getting around copying accounts/profile pictures. From what I understand, certain bot groups take advantage from using Linux distros or other applications that bypass Valve's VAC system, allowing for use of paid accounts. Other groups exploit the ability to change the disconnect message to plug links or rude messages. During last year's Halloween update, we received new workshop maps and cosmetics, as well as a Steam chat filtering system in order to block racist or inappropriate terms in people's names and in the chat. Sadly, this implementation didn't resolve many issues, as when players were kicked, their name would still be fully displayed with those terms. But we got a slew of manpower updates, let's fucking go! Other than that, we got a update in late August with some minor technical fixes and a really funny Twitch integration fix. I plan to talk about this another time. Lastly, in December, we also got our annual Smithmas update, but this year it included some workshop maps and some cosmetic goodies, as well as new taunts and some minor exploit fixes. Oh, and let's not forget about this year's biggest major update that came out a few months ago. The large change about adding a timer to CP Powerhouse. Huge. All jokes aside, TF2 really hasn't had an eventful year, and a reminder that bots were actively ruining some of the experiences during those events. Though more players were on during peak hours, making your encounters less prevalent, didn't mean that they weren't around for those who couldn't take advantage of those peak hours. With that being said, currently with matchmaking, there are so many different breeds of bots that the game is nearly unplayable in those off-peak hours based on your server region. But hey, let's move away from the bots for a moment and highlight some of the community work this past year. Uncletopia has seen a slight expansion, giving more players the option to play on a vanilla-like experience with some minor tweaks. Creators.tf has been pushing out its own seasonal MVM content with their recent event Digital Directive, as well as maintaining some of their own casual servers. This includes 2 custom campaigns with over 30 missions and custom rewards, even more content than we've seen in any TF2 updates in something like 2 cities. I highly recommend checking it out, as well as their pubs, as they have a nice refreshing map pool that has some fantastic community maps that rival official ones. And if you're like me and just tired of playing Badwater and Upward, it's really a good change. I also recommend checking out teamwork.tf, as they have a server browser that's a little more user-friendly than the in-game one, and is useful to find more active servers. Oh, yeah, I almost forgot to talk about the most hyped up service, Faceit? This was a mixed bag for me and a lot of other users from what I've heard. With promises of being the next fix to casual and actively listening to community feedback. So how is it in my opinion? Well, let me break down my thought process going into the experience and how it's currently being managed, as expectations are always going to be biased when you go into a situation like this. So let's break it down. Faceit is a major esports organization that took interest in TF2 years ago with an organized 6v6 tournament/league. This fell through, and Faceit eventually dropped involvement with the TF2 community. Within the past year, they announced a return with a brand new 12v12 alternative to casual, with prizes and dedicated anti-cheat, as well as much more. Given the spread of Faceit, I'm sure most of you are aware of what it is. And after 1 season, or roughly 1.5 months, how has it held up? Well, most people they use to promote the service haven't been active on it, and the community feedback seems slightly negative as well as ignored. Let's start by looking at what Faceit would need to do to keep a community at ease, and that is provide a well-rounded experience while being accessible to all types of players. As TF2 has a spectrum of players from beginners to veterans, this seems to fail, as the nature of Faceit is that it's a stats/esports driven experience. with things like win percentages and win streaks that drive this incentive to win each match by any means. Since TF2 is a sandbox shooter and not really balanced in its natural state, this allowed stacks of experienced players to walk all over the service and claim daily/weekly prizes while ruining it for new players. And this is something I wanted to talk about in a subsequent video. But for now, I want to emphasize that this is an issue almost independent of FACEIT, but it does play into their business model. When I started to get into FACEIT, it was during its early closed beta. I had the thought process that a company like it needed to appeal to the widest variety of players, and that to maintain a player base, to turn a profit, / seeing interest in supporting the community. After leaving the closed beta and entering the public, the initial spike of players had their attention to feedback by addressing a map voting issue and other map pool concerns, and it seemed like a positive start. It seemed like they were actively listening and maintaining that promised support. But eventually, no news of updates and changes to the prizes being just the same unchanged weekly and daily point prizes showed the ambition was dripping. As of making this, Season 2 has released, and from my initial impression, it still seems to be the case. Overall, with some minor headaches like being flagged to use their anti-cheat, only 2 games into the testing experience, where I had only been playing Trollger, and subsequently issues with their anti-cheat matchmaking UI, I'd say it was somewhat a passable experience. So, overall, I'm a big advocate of constructive feedback. It seemed like I broke down FACEIT to all its bad features, but as I stated, I thought it was an overall good experience for the community. Here are my main feedback points, and this is just a personal opinion, so please take it with a grain of salt. Firstly, don't incentivize winning. The biggest issue were players who are only playing to win items. Instead of ladders leading to players winning an item, try incentivizing matches played. Conduct multiple raffles at the end of a period, let's say a week, and base the number of entries on the number of matches played. This would reduce strategies like team stacking and allow a fair playing field for anyone to win an item. Secondly, widen the map pool and/or adjust the rules. Currently, the map pool is almost 50% payload, with the rest of the maps being lesser community choices. The current maps of Sujin and Harvest are casual classics, but consider adding more 5CP maps with a map timer and a 3-round win condition. Currently, 5CP has no map timer, leading to a match that I had on stream that went over an hour and only ending when FACE shut down the server for another game.
Oh my god.
Oh, it's because we got mini crits.
It says an admin has canceled the match.
Hell yeah, let's go!
Wait,
No
what?
L's.
Has canceled the match?
Wait, they won right there.
Doesn't
It
matter.
doesn't matter. It doesn't matter.
This match has been canceled. Let's go, dude! Secondly, I wanted to talk about an untapped benefit of FACEIT, and that is that they fire up their servers with configs on map changes at the start of each game. So why not introduce map-specific configs and class limits to reduce the amount of cheese or unfun strategies and improve the overall balance of its matches? Though I'm not a fan of it, this can include things like weapon whitelists to reduce the spam of flog strats and so forth. But to give an example, limit the amount of engineers on Badwater or just medics in general. This is a rough idea, but could probably be expanded into a whole concept. Third, and lastly, this is a given with any competitive scene, but please address toxic and racist players. If you want content creators to promote and play on your service, please keep track of reports of harassment on your platform. There have been so many games I've come across when players are overwhelmingly racist in-game voice or text chat, as well as hurtful to repeat individuals that would be considered targeted harassment. Like other platforms, please give an indication when a reported player has received action to have an idea if these types of cases are even addressed. A positive aspect I was going to talk about was the archival of STVs at the end of each game. Acting like the old TF2 demo system, these are great to revisit / collect clips from. I wanted to raise that these captures also have voice chat and could be a great example for when investigating multiple reports on an individual, as it can't be altered in any way. In the end, I'd say my experience was pretty neutral with FACEIT, and I hope to see a revision of their service soon. For the time being, I think I'll avoid it until further changes. The whole Source TV thing is great, but running the anti-cheat disables my ability to record with Shadowplay, meaning it's a neutral trade-off I'd rather not deal with. Kind of like the service as a whole. And I'd like to look into TF2's future and be optimistic and see that Valve will address the current issues. As major game journalist sites have been covering the ongoing attention of the bots, I hope it catches Valve's eye so that they start looking into the community. As for now, the community has some great content out there, and if I can make recommendations, try to learn some rocket jumping, you know? It can't be disrupted by bots, and I'm totally not biased to it. Seriously, not at all. Thanks again for listening to me rant and discuss. I really enjoy making this. It was a testament to me learning After Effects and Premiere this whole time, and I hope to make some more content like this soon. I have a working script for some ideas on revamped casual and other non-TF2 related stuff, so I hope to see you soon. Stay safe out there, subscribe if you want, and see you next time. Peace.